Are you ready for the world to end in 7 days? That's right. If you are not ready, the world is going to end in 7 days. It's all over the news. They're talking about it everywhere. Have you been living under a rock? It's all coming to an end in 7 days. Hey folks, thanks for stopping by here at the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Like I said, unless you've been living under a rock for a while, according to all the media, internet, TV, radio, everything, the world is coming to an end in 7 days. Because guess what? We're that far away from the election. Each side wants you to think and believe that if you don't vote for their man, it's all going to come crashing down. It'll be the most horrible apocalypse that you've ever known. Horror of horrors. That is the talking point. That is really what they want you to believe. But will that really happen? Even a lot of preppers, including, we've talked about it here on this channel, have really been wondering, is there any truth to this? Will this election spark a civil war? It's quite possible. Before we get into that though, I want to mention to you about a YouTube channel that a friend of mine has started, a friend of mine and my wife's, and encourage you to go over there and subscribe to it. It is not anything like my channel at all. Not related in one bit in subject matter. This friend of mine, she has started a business where she colorizes old black and white photos and old black and white movies. And so she has started a YouTube channel where she's taking old movies that are copyright free. They're old enough that they no longer have one on them. And she's fixing them all up digitally and colorizing them and post them on YouTube to watch for free. She's just starting this. Right now she's got a Bob Hope movie on over there. And I think it's a great thing for, you know, here we've got winter. Some of you may be forced by the, you know, evil government to keep you locked up and stay at home. Or, you know, just all the craziness that's going on. Maybe there's just you just feel that it's better for you to just stay inside. This is a great source of entertainment. The movies that she puts on her channel over there and that she's working on are all good ones for you and your family to watch. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you to go over there and subscribe to her channel. That way you're going to get notifications. There's no cost whatsoever. And it is called Old Time Movie and TV Shows. It's probably best to use the link, because if you try to search for it over at YouTube or here on YouTube, because it's a brand new channel, it may not come up. But anyways, go down in the link, find the link in the description below and click on it. She does some really amazing work on these movies. All right. How do you guys like my office? It's cold and wet and rainy, and there's not a lot of internet in the house, so when I'm doing videos or working on, you know, things online, I kind of have to do it outside. And then when it's cold and wet and sloppy and rainy, I end up sitting in the vehicle to do it because, well, we live out in the sticks and we don't have the fancy schmancy internet. It's 7 days to the election. We've talked about it here. Other people have been talking about it. It's even been in the mainstream news of this potential looming threat of a civil war leading up to and after the election. I've been going over and over this, trying to determine, is there a real threat? Or is this just some fear mongering that the media wants to drum up to get us to vote one way or the other? You know, I find it kind of funny, especially because of the nature of this election, that all the campaigning that's being done and everything. I can't imagine there being anyone in this country that is going to vote that hasn't decided who they're going to vote for. I mean, my goodness. I would think that there's no undecided voters right now. But the campaign keeps going on, and hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent every day, just about, to garner your all valuable vote, so that you can choose which master you will serve for the next 4 years. I think that there's a good chance of it. I mean, we've seen violence already. Just in the last couple of days, there were a couple more shootings, police officers shooting minorities. I've watched both videos of the two that I'm aware of. Both of them look like completely justified shootings, but man, they're just burning cities to the ground. Philadelphia, I guess last night got hit pretty hard by all the rioting. I mean, some of the videos that I saw was quite horrific, the things that was going on. And then, of course, the confirmation of the Supreme Court justice, which has got people just losing their minds. They cannot handle the psychological burden of a woman being elected, a conservative woman being appointed to the Supreme Court, because they're going to lose all their rights, right? We're losing our rights. I saw that, side note here, Chuck Schumer, Senator Chuck Schumer, made some ridiculous statement that because this woman was appointed to the Supreme Court, that it endangers the lives of future generations. By what? I mean, is he insinuating that her potentially overturning Roe v. Wade? So that's endangering lives by, overturning Roe v. Wade? I don't know. There's craziness going on. I do think that there is a chance of increased violence, especially in battleground states and in big cities on and around Election Day. If you find yourself living in one of those cities, in one of those areas, you should probably be ready for that and be kind of prepared. Like out here where I'm at, the little towns around here will probably not see anything like that. So it's, a lot of people are going to say, well, it's not happening here, so it must not be happening. And that's not how it is. There's been, I've said all along, there's been a civil war already going on. We are in a civil war. It's just not happening everywhere, but it is happening. And I have a feeling that there's a chance that it could grow, especially if Trump gets reelected. And I'm not advocating for him or for the other guy. That's not what I'm doing here on this channel. You can decide that for yourself. But the left, they absolutely cannot fathom the thought of him getting reelected, right? And they have already shown that they're very capable of violence, and they've made many threats to it. And I think that there's definitely a serious chance. Now, once he gets elected, let's say they start their violence, does that mean that the more, these conservative militias and things that are supportive of, maybe Donald Trump, would they become more involved? Would they feel that they had more of a voice because he's been, reelected? Would they, if the violence got enough, would they become more involved in confronting the left's violence? I don't know. But I don't think that's what has to happen for this to be a civil war. There is insurgency going on. There was insurgency going on last night in Philadelphia when they were burning buildings and looting buildings and running police officers over. I've read somewhere, I think it was over 24 police officers were taken to the hospital, some of them in serious condition, just from last night in Philadelphia. This is the kind of stuff that's happening on a regular basis on American streets. And I have a lot of thoughts about what could be going on, what's the motive, why no one's stopping it. I mean, probably the obvious answer is Marxism. This is one of their MOs that they go through, and they create social disruption, violence, burning buildings, creating fear to push their agenda. Is it desensitizing us to all this? Seeing just enough on the news to know that it's going on, but not so much that it's affecting most of us. Most of Americans are not being affected by this violence. Even in cities like Portland and Seattle and Chicago and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and these cities that's had violence, they weren't even widespread in the city. They were usually within just a few block radius, downtown areas and inner city. So is it just enough to desensitize us? Is it being done to test to see what they can get away with? Or each one of these just another beta test for the big one to happen? Don't know. I think, and I've said this before, and I'll stand by it even though some of you just can't stand it when I say this. I think that regardless of who wins in 7 days, and I don't think we're going to know in 7 days who wins, but whoever is the next president, whatever happens in 7 days, I don't think that any one of us are going to consider ourselves the winner. I think, and this is just my opinion, I don't have anything to go on this. I'm not, just because I'm on here on YouTube yapping all the time doesn't mean I'm privy to any information that you don't have. It's just my opinion. I think that America has forever changed. They talk about the new normal. I believe we're living in the new normal, and it's evolving into something even more new. And I don't think we're ever going to go back to that time period of 2018, back when things were more free and more normal. I think it's, and that's just the progress of societies. They rarely ever regress. They're always advancing and evolving, and it's almost always in the wrong direction. But I think over the next 6 to 12 months, we're probably going to see some radical changes. Will they allow those radical changes to be done in a way that it's very obvious to the American people, or will they be done in a way that they happen and they don't even know it? It's really hard to say. But they have to make these radical changes in a way so that not too many people get awakened by them and realize something's wrong. But they have very good ways of manipulating the public. And I'm not saying that, if Trump gets elected, he's just as bad as Biden. I mean, in the end, regardless of how good or how bad either one of them are, they aren't really in control of things. They may try to be controlling things, even if Trump was truly as amazing and great as everyone believes he is, and he could be. I don't know him. In the end, it doesn't really matter because he is only so limited, has only so much power, can only do so many things. And I think it's become very apparent over the last several months. I mean, most of us that's been on top of this for years have known it for years, but especially in the last several months, it's quite obvious that those very powerful people that rule and desire to rule us have made some kind of decision to kick their operation into full speed. I watched a video a while back, I think I even mentioned it on here, of a guy that he's well known in kind of the conspiracy circles. And he was asked in an interview, is he surprised at all of what's going on in 2020? And he said, absolutely not. He said, this is the kind of stuff we've been investigating for years. We've known that these are, a lot of these things, it's their plan. He said, none of it's surprising to me. He said, but what is surprising to me is how fast they are advancing it. He said it was like overnight something happened and they decided to just kick it in gear. And I think for me also, that's kind of a wake-up call that it is happening. So in the end, regardless of who wins, it may happen sooner with one candidate and the other one, it may take a little longer. But I think that their takeover, it's going to happen regardless. Can we resist enough to defeat them? I don't know. I'm sure they have that in their plan of what to do if a bunch of people start really resisting them. I don't know. I think in 7 days, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of crazy things happen. Maybe not everywhere, maybe not in your area. It's like people, we talk about food shortages and always have a lot of people say, we've got plenty of food in my area, there's no food shortages. Well, just because your grocery store shelves are stocked doesn't mean that everyone's got food. And just because you don't have to wear a mask and aren't facing any lockdown and no businesses have closed in your small town because of it, doesn't mean that there's not economic problems and tens of thousands of mom and pop businesses across the nation haven't closed, because they have. Lots of people have gone bankrupt. Just because you're not experiencing financial struggle through all this doesn't mean no one else is. It is happening. It's happening all across the country. If it's not happening in your area, be thankful for that. It could eventually happen in your area, but be thankful that it's not right now. And it's the same way with the disruption and the violence. It may not ever happen in your area. You just may have gotten lucky and picked the right spot to live where none of that kind of stuff is affecting you. But is it happening in other places? Is it happening to larger and larger amounts of people? Yes, it is. Will it continue to happen that way? Very possibly so. Which is why I say that we have to be prepared. I've gone over and over, and there's many other videos out there from other people, and you can watch them too. You don't have to just watch me. That'd be boring. About what to do, how to get prepared. I've talked about it, leading up to, I did one a couple of weeks ago, 10 things to do before the election. And since then, I've seen several other YouTube channels doing similar videos. Not saying they're copying me, but, those types of videos. You don't have a lot of time left. If you want to be stocking up before the election, you better get on the ball. You can order some freeze-dried foods from me over at preparedwithtravis.com, but they're not going to get to you most likely before the election. They have about a 2-week turnaround time. In the end, Tuesday could happen. Be a completely normal election. Find out who won that evening. The other one concede. And everything just goes on as normal. Very possible. Might even have better odds of that happening than anything else. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't prepare for the other stuff. Because I think for once, at least in my lifetime, there are some pretty good odds of a crazy and maybe even violent election and election aftermath. So folks, stay alert. Be ready. Because the next few weeks could be quite interesting. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.